Hey, welcome up into the booth. I am Joel Klatt, and this is sponsored by Dr. Pepper at every home gate and tailgate. It is the one that fans crave. Okay, what a wild day here in the game at the Shoe. 62-39, the Buckeyes trounce Michigan. Michigan comes in as a 10-1 favorite. They come in with 10 straight victories, the #1 defense in the country, the #1 pass defense in the country, and an offense that had been playing pretty well. But I got to tell you, man, that Buckeyes team put together their most complete game. That was the best that they've looked all year long. The defense was flying around. They put pressure on the quarterback, Shea Patterson. I thought they did a marvelous job. They still gave up 39 points, but it just felt like they dominated at times. You know, Michigan was forced into playing really aggressive and scored some points. One of them was a turnover via the special teams that ultimately turned into points. That defense had a defensive score for Ohio State. The special teams had a score for Ohio State on the blocked kick by Olave. I got to tell you, man, that was a great game. But the guy I want to talk about first is Dwayne Haskins. Let's start with Dwayne Haskins because this guy cemented his spot in New York. I think that he could steal some votes away from these two guys that I think are in the lead, Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa, for the Heisman Trophy. He is clearly now at least in their class. He set the Big Ten record for passing yards in a single season, going over 4,000, passing Curtis Painter and Drew Brees. He sets the mark for touchdown passes in a season with over 40. I believe 41 now with 41 with his fifth touchdown pass in today's ball game. He throws 5 touchdowns in this game, which is a record in the game. Over 300 yards against the #1 passing defense. He was brilliant. A lot of props goes to Ryan Day and what he was able to do matchup-wise, getting some of those crossing routes going. Ohio State's game plan was terrific. They formationed Michigan to death. They got the matchups that they wanted to get, and then they exploited them with really accurate passing and solid pass protection. The offensive line played really well. Let's hope Demetrius Knox is not hurt too bad, but that last play before they started taking some knees, he goes down and then left on the cart. So we'll see how badly he's hurt moving into next week's Big Ten championship game. Now I want to start talking about just the legacy now of this game and of this day. Jim Harbaugh came in with the favored team. They had won 10 in a row. He finally has his quarterback. He's still got the dominant defense, and this one is going to be awfully bitter to swallow. Because if you don't beat Ohio State now, when Ohio State is struggling on defense, they have a hard time finding their identity. Their coach had been suspended for 3 games early. He seems to be struggling with his health from the sideline. Maryland basically gave the game away against Ohio State last weekend. When do you win if you're Michigan? That's how the Michigan fans have to feel right now. Listen, Michigan fans, I'm talking to you right now. I feel for you. Because I thought it was going to be your year to make this playoff push. You've seen my videos. You know how I feel about the Michigan Wolverines and what they did over the last 10 games. I thought it was impressive. I thought it was as impressive as you know, anybody out there. I think Alabama has separated themselves. Clemson had separated themselves. And Michigan and Notre Dame were right there. You know, right there winning in the playoff. And this has to be bitterly disappointing for you. Because this seemed like it was the year. You had lost 13 of the last 14 to the Buckeyes coming into today, and now it's 14 of the last 15, and you got to wonder, when in the world is this going to happen? Because the only time that it did happen, since basically Jim Tressel got there, was in the Luke Fickell 6 and 7 year for Ohio State. Massively disappointing for Michigan, who thought that they were on a playoff run. So now Michigan, here's your prospects. You're probably going to go to like a Citrus or an Outback Bowl. It's going to be a New Year's Day bowl, but you're not going to love it. Now, if Ohio State gets into the playoffs somehow in this argument with Oklahoma that's about to ensue, then you're going to go to Pasadena and face the Pac-12 champ. And I guess you would have to take solace in at least going to Pasadena and playing in a Rose Bowl. On the other side, Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer has been a coach that's been under severe scrutiny all year long. Whatever his behavior on the sidelines has been, quite frankly, I don't think it's been all that out of character. Urban Meyer's always been an emotional coach, and this year he's dealing with, and really for the last couple of years, he's been dealing with an incredible pain in his head, you know, via that cyst. And people have speculated upon speculated upon speculated about what that means, what his demeanor is, and whether it's going to be over for him. Listen, only he's going to decide when it's over. You know, I don't think he's going to coach forever, obviously. I don't think he's going to coach even for 5 years. I think it's going to be over sometime soon. I would be a little surprised if it was after this season, but maybe this run towards the end of the year is ultimately going to tell him that, you know, hey, this is going to be it for me. I'm going to ride off into the sunset, depending on what we can do here in the next few weeks. But Urban Meyer's legacy is set in stone here at Ohio State and in the pantheon of college football. He's going to go down as one of the greatest ever. Above 800 winning percentage, 3 national championships. He's 7-0 in the game. This guy has an unapproachable resume, and it is phenomenal. And I got to tell you, what he did and his coaching staff did today with that game plan and that effort from his players, that was masterclass. So Urban Meyer, this one's to you and your family. You deserve this win. You deserve it. I got to tell you, you've been through a lot. I know you're dealing with a lot of pain in your head. But kudos to you, your coaching staff, and your family for persevering through this entire year and ultimately getting this win that's got to feel so sweet. And we'll see you next week in the Big Ten championship game. As we move forward with the playoffs and what's going to happen in the rankings, all I've got to say is this is going to be a wild debate between Oklahoma and Ohio State. Right now, I'm going to give the leg up in the debate to Oklahoma. Why? I know they've got a ridiculously bad defense, but their loss right now is just going to be more impressive on paper than Ohio State's. We're going to see how that plays out in the championship games because Oklahoma has got the much tougher opponent in facing Texas for the second time versus the Buckeyes. We're going to face a Northwestern team that has not won a non-conference game this year. Now, they're 7-1 in conference play. We'll see what they do today. They're up at this point, but we'll see what happens with Ohio State and Northwestern. If Ohio State can put it on Northwestern and Texas or Oklahoma wins even by a little bit or continues to show these defensive struggles, or obviously if Texas wins, then Ohio State's going to find themselves right back into the playoff. And what a story that would be. A team that was thrown away for most of the season and a coaching staff that was thrown away for much of the season right back in the fold when we get to winning time and championship time late November in the early December period and ultimately into the playoff. So that's what we got going on here in the game. What a day it was. Got to tell you, this never gets old to call a game like this. It was phenomenal. I hope you enjoyed it. Can't wait for next weekend. Join us next weekend, Saturday night on Fox, as Northwestern takes on the Ohio State Buckeyes for the Big Ten title. We've been in the booth here. I'm Joel Klatt, and today's In the Booth has been sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Remember, at every home gate and tailgate, it is the one that fans crave. Have a safe and happy rest of your Thanksgiving weekend, everybody. Have a good day.